class, not a cast pod, hey, rage every day.
Okay, David Yontef, host of Behind the Velvet Rope, personal friend of mine. What you guys don't know is David and I will get on the phone for like 2 hours and we will talk all things podcasting, all things the industry, every housewife. And I'm obsessed. I mean, honestly, I have to clear my afternoon calendar when I talk to David. That's how much I adore you. And that's how much we have to say to each other.
I was just going to say, does this mean that I talk a lot, you know? Yes. I mean, I talk for a living on the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast as the host, and I am usually exhausted when I'm not recording. So I guess not. I guess I have something to say.
I don't know how you do it. For those that don't know, okay, David's been on the podcast, been on the Sarah Fraser Show before. He has a podcast that really has a specialty of housewives. You have had the biggest of the big housewives, including, I mean, I am truly obsessed with Carol Rad as well. Like she's truly my grande dame. She is like the best. She's so classy. You had her on a month and a half ago.
Okay, let me tell you. You have very good taste. You have very good taste. Here's the thing. It is like you said, I have had almost every housewife on. So when you don't really run into my show, it's not that I'm so busy, which I am, or I've had all the other housewives, which I have. It's that I have Stockholm syndrome. It's that now I want you more, and I will degrade myself, get on my knees. I will chase. I have been chasing Miss Radswell for I think almost like 2 years at this point.
Really?
I've wanted Carol for a really long time. And she doesn't really want to talk. I mean, I always think it's strange when someone comes on my show and then, like, of course, all the trolls never really come after me. I mean, some of them do, of course, but they always say, like, why is this person, talking about housewives? I'm like, they're not. They actually don't want to. I called them on my show, and by the graciousness of their life, they have graced me with their presence. And what would you like me to talk to Carol about? Politics and race? Because we just had that on RHONY, and none of you seem to want to hear about that. So, like, they don't want to talk about housewives.
They want the drama. They want what was really the demise of Carol and Bethany? What was truly the end of their friendship? What did Carol say?
Oh, honey, we get it. So that's the thing. So Carol was like, listen, fine. 45 minutes, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, whatever you want, just because I'd like to do an hour. She gets on and in the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, no. She's here to play. So this 45 minutes, what she told me, was 3 hours.
I cannot believe you sat with Carol Rad as well for 3 hours.
It's the third part isn't even out. Only the first 2 parts.
Oh my God. Wait, so is the third part where she talks about Bethany? Or did she already talk about
it? Isn't that a good question? She talks the most about Bethany, I think, in the third part. She talks a little, but that's the thing. Like, the more we talk, I mean, I do read the audience. I have like 30 minutes is 30 minutes. And I'm like, I get on and I'm like, oh shit, this is a real 30 minutes. I just got the impression right away. She's here to play. We got the, Carol, you have said, like, when you left the Housewives, like, cut through the shit. Like, let's just call it. You were fired. So A, we have to have you admit that you were fired. B, we now need to talk about why. Lots of people say it was because of the end of your friendship with Bethany. Do you think that's why? Okay, let's talk about C. You told Andy Cohen he was full of shit at the reunion. Do you think that's why? D, there's a rumor that you just emailed producers and you had receipts on everything. Did you really do that? Oh, you did. You reached out to producers 24/7 with all the things you had wrong. So do you think that's why? Like, we went through every possible reason why it is that she was fired. And she just, like you said, I mean, it was one of those, like, I'm here and I'm not looking for a headline. I'm going to give the truth. Like, these are the real answers.
Well, your interviews are so good. So I know a lot of my audience already listens to your show because I'll get DMs, like, if I mention you or anything.
Good.
But what I love about your interviewing style is you have mastered the pause, which most people don't do. Most hosts, even I'm talking really good ones, comedians that host podcasts. Personally, I cannot stand that armchair podcast. Who's the guy that hosts? Oh, Dax Shepard. He's so corny to me and he interrupts all the time. What I adore about your show is, like, you will ask a question to a housewife and you will just, like, let it breathe. And, like, it's great because you don't know what they're going to say. They have, like, these awkward moments. They're kind of fidgeting. They're trying to, I love the way you interview.
Thank you. Because it is it's designed that way because like, you know, you get more if you just shut up and listen. And it's like, I do feel that is the problem with a lot of podcast hosts. It is, look, I mean, at least with Bravo, I've analyzed and researched. I just think like, listen, I mean, I don't want to simplify it, but I think a lot of podcast hosts are just insecure and have that need to have their ego fed.
Yeah.
And they need that reassurance. And it's like, you listen to these interviews and I'm like, it's not about you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I will interject every now and then and be like, oh my God, I totally do that too. Or, you know, I give little nuggets every now and then about myself, but very little. On Patreon, I talk about myself because it's a different type of show,
Sure.
but it's not about me. It's just not about me. Like, I don't even say things like someone could be like trashing, you know, like if someone's going to trash Margaret Josephs from Jersey is like a really good friend of mine. I'm not going to interject and say she's my friend or it's their truth. It's about them. It's like, it's not my job to interrupt or have an opinion. I have opinions. Lots of people from the Housewives I hate. Lots of people I love. It's not really my opinion to comment. So just tell your truth. I'm asking you these questions and I want to hear. And also a lot of people will say things and I'll be like, this person is lying. This is not the truth.
But you won't call them on it. You won't.
No.
You'll just let them put it out there and the audience decides.
Yeah, because it's not really my, you know, every now and then I'll be like, really? Or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not really my job.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that I don't call people out because I do. I mean, here I am telling to Carol, like,
oh, Carol,
you know, were you fired? Like, you're going to say no. You're about to say no to me. Like, so it's just, you know, okay, you know, and I didn't say it like that, but I mean, I asked the questions. I'm not afraid to, but I feel like if she had said, I mean, look, there's so many housewives that give me a convoluted answer and I'm like, you're basically fired. I mean, this is not the true statement. You could spin it any way you want. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's that awkward pause. And every now and then a listener will, you know, because you get your lovely reviews, you know,
yeah.
Most people agree with you, but every now and then I'll get like, oh my God, these awkward pauses of David's. He's such a horrible interviewer. And I'm like, these are self-designed, you asshole. Like, it's on purpose because people, if you just put the rope down and say, do with this what you want, most people will hang themselves. Like, it's just, if I'm going to just let it breathe and like there's so no good. Comment. Like, you just listen to that and you're like, oh God, they just gave an answer that is going to go somewhere.
It's so good. Your show is amazing. So I wanted to have you on because I am a Housewives fan. I'm certainly not as an astute Bravo analyst as you are, but I love listening to your interviews. I love your take. I think 2021, and I'm curious to see what you think, was pretty much an epic year in Housewives history overall. You know, you had the fall of Tom Girardi and Erica Girardi. You have the arrest of Jen Shah. I think, you know, Real Housewives of Potomac has really come into its own. You have Nicki Minaj guest, you know, hosting, which, by the way, were you a fan of hers for her taking over for Andy?
No.
Me neither. I didn't love it. I love her. I didn't love it. Why didn't you love it? I think it was all the voices. And I do voices all the time, but it was really annoying. I thought, I got to do less voices because this is so annoying.
It was just weird. Like, some people I know are really offended. They're like, oh my God, she was so harsh to the women. And I wasn't offended. I just didn't really understand. Like, I get that she's a fan. But I'm like, let's not make this a thing now where like in Beverly Hills, someone shows up and like now we start having these guest hosts. It's like, in a way, I'm like, she's asking questions maybe Andy wouldn't have asked. And I'm like, so I guess I kind of like this. But then I'm like, if I have to think about it, it was just weird. It was just like, look, there's a skill to interviewing. Like you just said, you like how I interview. There's a skill to it. And Andy
has it. Andy has that too. Andy has that way of being friendly with you, but asking like the question that everybody wants to know. And of course, they geniusly use so-called audience submission questions, which is probably the producers, right? But it's like, oh, David from New York City wants to know, Luann.
You know what? Yes. Because I started, I don't know, I wasn't conscious, but I started, I don't do it often, but I do. I can't even think of an example, but every now and then I'll say, like, listen, so like, what do you say to the fact that like people online are saying, this is my new thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, David, no one online is saying this, sweetie. Like, you're saying it. And I'm like, listen, I'm not saying this, but like, like, what are you saying? The people like that they're saying you're addicted to fame or whatever. That's my new thing where I'm like, what do you say to
you
the fact
introduce
that
what you want to know as, yeah. And I mean, someone else has said it, So do you think the franchise, this was an epic year?
I think it's like it was a strange year. Like there was a lot of hits and a lot of misses.
Okay.
I mean, we lost Dallas.
Were you sad about that?
No.
No.
I mean, also, I
kind of liked. I love Mama D. You know
what it is. I wasn't shocked. Like I was told by a Dallas housewife going into this season, like, this is it. Like we basically wanted, we wanted Leanne gone and Leanne is gone. And this is it. Like we better bring it or it's going to be over. Now, this person doesn't necessarily, she's not a producer. She doesn't know. But once she said that and I really thought about it, I was like, yeah, I actually agree now with this. Like, I don't know if she was told that or she just hypothesized it. But when I took a moment and thought about it, I was like, yep, I'd watch. And so I wasn't shocked. I kind of was like, if they don't bring it with the ratings, it's over.
And to your point, it was a weird year because, you have Real Housewives of New York, right? Who's like one of the franchise, staples. I don't even know do we even have a result? I mean, is the show coming back? I would think at this point the show should be recording, like should be taping. And I don't even think that it is, right? Do they know who this cast is?
The new cast for New York?
Yeah. What are they doing for next season? We don't know, right?
We don't know. I know people that have been contacted.
Okay.
But no time soon. And I can tell you the girls don't know. I mean, and I think they're all nervous in their own way. Like even Ramona, who I think was never nervous, is kind of like, yeah, this really could happen now. And I have to say about Ramona, she is good. Ramona knows. Like sometimes the housewives are like, well, this is going to happen. And I mean, listen, I have a lot of flaws in life, but I kind of know. So like when a housewife will say to me just about anything, this is going to happen, like, no. What you're saying is so wrong. That person's not going that like, so Ramona is good. Like when Ramona says, let me tell you what's going to happen, she's usually good. She knows like Ramona knows what she's doing. So, like when she's like, I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, you're not. But now, I mean, this is not direct from Ramona, but through, we all
through
know,
people. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's someone like she's like, it really could be me now. And I'm like, so if she's, and I'm like, you're right. It actually really could. And you are aware of it. So it's like, it really could be Ramona now. It could not be her, but it could be.
You know what I think too? Okay, obviously there was the race discussion that a lot of people felt polarized on one way or the other. But I think to me too, the other thing is, I think Sonia and Luann and Ramona, it's tired, right? They've all been on the show, I think, how many? 10 seasons. Ramona continues to just get hammered on the show. So does Sonia. Sonia probably more so. Luann, it's like, nothing ever improves. You know what I'm saying? When they first started out, there was some hope like, oh, they'd marry somebody, they'd move forward with their lives, kind of like what Bethany did, kind of like what Carol sort of did. But there just never seems to be any plot development. Does that make sense? I feel like that also hurt the show this year. Like I feel like they've run their course, but yet I don't even know if the franchise could start over at this point.
Well, I think that, I mean, no one's been contacted recently. And I do think that it's not like, I think it's not starting anytime soon. It's not like we're going to start filming mid-January. It's like, I think so. Everyone's like, oh my God, is it 2023? Yeah. I mean, think about it. By the time we start filming, it's not going to be this year. And I just think that's why I think Ramona is going to be gone, because the longer it's off the air, we've lived without Ramona. And I love housewives in their 50s and 60s. So I am not age shaming, but it does not help her case that when this comes back, she'll basically be 65. Networks don't want that. Forget about me. I mean, I'm okay with it. I just think Ramona's going to be on the Housewives at 70. So it's like, I do think the longer it's off, the more likely Ramona is going to go. I really, truly think my prediction is Leah is gone.
Yeah,
Ebony
Leah
is
was
gone.
Leah
Leah's gonna go.
Leah
And
burned so
nobody's
hot at first. She was so great. But what's your opinion? What do you think? Okay, we're getting way off track, by the way, too, because we're here to share our five
this is
favorite
important,
moments.
though.
We're going to share our 5 favorite housewife moments from 2021, but I do want to talk about that because I do love all the drama and all the gossip. What do you think happened with Leah? She was so hot the first season.
I mean, listen. You want to know what I think happened?
Yeah,
I mean,
we want to know
my
the truth.
honest
This
opinion.
is like why we have you on. We want to know the
This
dirt
is really,
from David.
and I'm convinced that this is really the truth, and this is really. I think that here's my problem with Leah. Okay, I like authenticity, right? So I don't really care what your views on the world are. I just want you to be a real, authentic person and not try, right? Because there's cameras. So that's the thing about Ebony. Ebony is real. Like, she is not backing away from anything. She's not saying, okay, the ratings were bad. I get it. And I'm going to come back and do something different. She's like, this is me. This is me. It's not, there's no platform. There's no cause. There's no soapbox. This is my world. These are the things I think and the things and I know Ebony personally. This is what she talks about as a person in the real world. So I like that. It's a real, whether you want to hear about it on TV or not, that's another argument.
Sure,
but like,
sure.
Ebony is Ebony. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Leah,
you're saying like Ebony's an activist in real life and off camera.
Totally.
And whether or not that makes for a good fit for that show, that's authentically who she is.
Yes.
Okay,
so I love that.
Leah.
And Ebony's not backing away and saying like, I'm going to change my essence for a network.
Yeah.
Most of these girls do. They say, I'll do anything to stay on the show. And that to me is where now it's not real. And like, that's just pathetic because when they kick you out, they're going to kick you out. Leah came in. She was the darling, the fan favorite, made a splash, and it went to her head. She made her $60,000, got her 120 the second year, went and hired William Morris to represent her, got 200,000. I'm sure they took 20%. So she got $80,000 more minus the 20%. Great. Good for her. So far we have no problem. Her whole thing in the real life is like married to the mob, and like she's puts on this like urban like thing.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just because you have a picture with like little Kim and you're friends with like, who really these like, yeah, okay, maybe you're in that world, but it's not the same. Like I guess. So I think this is, and I'm pretty smart here. This is when they hired Ebony, and this is where the world was going and where we are. And, we've come a long way. I think Leah went in her mind insane. This is it. This is it. I am now the ruler of New York. We're going to get this black girl out here. And it could have been anyone. Doesn't matter who it's at. And it's over. We are going to overthrow Ramona. We are going to overthrow Luann. We are going to overthrow Sonia. The future of Housewives is going to be the black girl, whoever it is, and me. I'm now going to be the oldest person on the franchise. And I am now the queen, and forget my 200,000 and what they think they're going to give me. I'm going to negotiate even more. I think Leah was like, this is it. I am a superstar. Cause like, yes, this is it. Like her head got really big. So then the black girl, and I'm just saying this cause like I have to stress this point, comes into the cast. And if you watch it, Leah's like, that's it. Like I am Team Ebony all the way. Cause this is the future of Housewives. And she said, when this comes out and where we are in the world, this is it. Like I'm going to double down on BLM, and I'm gonna, this is it. Like people are going to be like Leah for president. And then as we go on in the season and we hear things and like, there's doing confessionals is like, I think she's like, wait a second. this bitch Ramona, these bitches ain't going down so easy. Like, wait a second. This isn't really how it's, wait a second. So then Leah's like, bye, black girl. This is the future of Housewives. These OGs. See ya. And she
kind of tries to come back around. I know. I've seen that. I've seen that headline that Ebony basically says they're work acquaintances, but they really are not friends, which is funny because, to your point, they certainly seemed like BFFs. I mean, really tight.
And nothing happens. And this isn't from Ebony. This is trust me, and if it went a different way, but now we have the whole world turning on Ebony and saying she ruined Housewives. And this isn't just because I'm friends with her. This just is, I have nothing against Leah. Like, this is what happened. And now Leah's like, shit.
What to do? This
is the future. It's not Ebony. So that's the problem. That's not authentic. That's like, I don't really care. I'll do anything to stay on the show. And that's what happened with Leah. And then the fans say, wait a second, we see through this. I mean, that's why people turned on her. They're like, this is too dramatic. It's too this, it's too that. Like, we're done. Like, the people want authentic Housewives. And that's why everybody turned on Leah. And the reason I think Leah's definitely gone is because, like, why keep her? It's the same thing with like Elizabeth Vargas from the OC. It's like nobody's invested. It's been two seasons. Yeah, we're a little more invested than we were in Elizabeth, but nobody's invested. The big conversation, the big thing keeping people up at night is who is back out of Luann, Ramona, and Sonia. Nobody is really wondering what's going on with Leah. And the whole thing was a disaster. So just like Elizabeth Vargas got thrown in there, like if we're getting rid of these other two, Leah's like, I think the least likely to come back. And I don't think Ebony's coming back. And with the other three, I think they have to bring somebody back. But I don't think it's not going to be all three. And I mean, I guess two is even being generous. Maybe it's one or two. It's probably be two. I think two. And then I just don't know. Don't know.
All right. One last question. Then we're going to get into our 5 favorite moments because I know our moments are going to spark other conversations. But what do you think is going on with casting? Because it seems to me they're having a very hard time finding the Bethanies. And when I say that, Bethany had aspirations to be rich, to be famous, and then it all came true, right? But she was also very witty. So did Nene Leakes, right? There was something like they were incredibly witty, a little sarcastic, very funny, but really likable. And it seems like they're having a really hard time. I'm trying to think, is there anybody that stands out for you in 2021 across all the franchises that you like, that you think has that like it factor?
New. New.
Even like when Kim Zolciak was on Atlanta at first. I mean, there was just so much there. Who do you think has that, or anyone?
Right. And like to that point, I mean, I've had her on my show. Lovely, lovely woman. Like, first of all, same thing. I had Elizabeth Vargas on, amazing. But I don't think Crystal Kung has that.
I know. I was thinking that
too. To go the distance. Yeah, Crystal's coming back because we just had a very highly rated season.
Well, of course, because of Erica.
Yeah. And it started like the next day they started filming. So like, why change anything up? Just throw Crystal in there, give her $120,000. The one person who comes to mind without overthinking it is Noella Beringer on the OC, which just started. I don't know if you watched the first two.
Yes, Noelle. Yes. She's married to the lawyer.
Yes, she's already getting a divorce from, and he like has tax fraud. I think I'm summing it up maybe incorrectly, but he owes a ton of money or something like that.
Okay, so he's a slime ball. Okay,
she's like, I didn't know about any of this. And she's also, was best friends with Bronwyn.
Yes. And then they're no longer friends. Okay.
So maybe that's it. But you add that in plus like a sex dungeon. I'm intrigued. And I'm comparing her to the other new girl, Jennifer Armstrong on the OC. She doesn't have it. It's Noella. Noella sticks out for me as like, she's going to be around.
You didn't think Mia Thompson, huh? From Housewives of Beverly or of Potomac.
Potomac? No.
I think Mia is a great shady addition. I'm very excited about her. She's actually one of my best moments.
Really?
Well, let's get into it. Yeah. I want to know your 5 best moments. I'll go through mine. And then you go through yours and we can kind of ask each other questions. Okay, so in particular order. I'll go number 5 down to number 1. So number 5 for me for the best housewife moments is actually the return of Heather Dubrow, which I was really not excited about. But that house and seeing her podcast studio, I had podcast studio envy. That damn studio is so fucking nice. And Terry's face, are these shows getting hard for you to watch? Though the plastic surgery is so bad. Like Terry Dubrow's face. Why is the plastic surgery so bad?
Someone else just said this about Terry to me. They're like,
Terry's face. I can't. But I love her house. I liked the party. I liked how she wouldn't talk about the lawsuit. I love that she was friends with Nicole James for like 5 years, only to realize that Nicole had sued Terry. Nicole's friends with them, doesn't even tell them that she sued Terry.
Did you see the little clip where, like, I don't know if it was on the episode because I'm not finished or next week, but Terry walks into a room and says, "You're Nicole Weiss.
I already watched.
Sued me."
Amazing. And of course they forgive her and like everything is good, right? Number 4.
Yeah, well, everything is good except she's not on the show. No, she's not.
She's a friend. Yeah, she's a friend.
No, but she doesn't even, I don't know how far she gets, but she's gone. You know, like she just disappears.
Really?
Like, taken out in the night, baby. You know, like last season when that girl tried to start, what was her name on Jersey? She tried to start crap with Melissa. She could have been a friend of, and she was.
Yes.
So I don't know if Nicole is like explained away or just from what I understand, Nicole, she disappears in the night. Like literally, she ain't there like the next day.
I love that she dated Kid Rock and she was so beautiful back in the day, but they all have so much bad plastic surgery. And it's like.
But that shows you the power of Heather Dubrow too. I mean, you mean to tell me Heather.
You think,
oh God, yeah. I think Heather was like.
Bye.
I mean, she basically shut down production. And I don't think that was acting. I think that was like, you begged me to come back. Here I am. I'm sure Heather went through a list of like, this needs to go a certain way. I mean, look, they're not going to do their jobs. But I think Heather was like, don't do me dirty. Don't do me dirty.
And
I get the good edit. Because that's the rumor anyway around her from last time. But I think when she was like, it's over, I'm quitting the show. I really believe that then they had to like say, fuck Shannon, we don't care about anyone. Get Heather in a room and lock the door. And I think everyone had to run into a room and lock the door and be like, you know, like we have to, no, you can't leave. Like this is the future of the show. What do you need? Like we have to work this out. Well, I think they talked Heather off a ledge.
That was my number 5. My number 4 is Mia Thornton joining. I thought Mia picked right up. I love the drama. I love that she's messy. I love that she goes toe to toe with Candace on Twitter. Love that she was a former stripper. Like the storyline of her mom. I hope that works. I hope she has even more to reveal. You know, I hope it wasn't like all this and then nothing. But I think there's good potential there for like a rivalry. I like it. My number 3 is Jen Shah, her arrest. I mean, that whole thing, like I'm loving Salt Lake City this season. I think it's so good. Love the dynamics. I mean, Mary Crosby's bananas. I can't get enough. I love the whole thing. But the Jen Shah arrest of her obviously getting a heads up phone call, dipping out. Then even this fall, doing appearances at the Hustler Club in New York City. I mean, you can't get, like, she would come to any strip club. She would do anything for cash, and I'm loving it. I'm loving where we're at. My number 2 is Tom and Erica, the fall of Tom Girardi. I'm sorry, I was in love. I love an older man. I love an older rich man. I thought he was rich.
I don't mind an older rich man either, honey.
You and I are into an older rich man.
It's so funny. Last night I was out to dinner with Elise Lane from New York Housewives. And she was with 2 friends, and I met them for the first time, and they were like, they're single, and we're all talking about what we're looking for. And I'm like, just older and rich. I want someone established. I'm sorry. Like, and they're like, oh, obviously that's like the basic. I'm like, I know. I date broke normally, and I just can't. And then everyone's like, I mean, this is why I date younger all the time, because everyone I date is broke. So, I mean, if you're going to be broke, like young and broke, for a minute is cute. It's not cute for 2 minutes, but it's cute for a minute. So I'll date you for a minute, but I meet older and broke. Like I shouldn't say older. I should say age appropriate and broke. But no, I meet people in their 40s and 50s that are broke, and I'm just like, no, this isn't cute.
Maybe you're the sugar daddy. Maybe you just get younger and broke, and you're the sugar daddy.
I am not opposed to my sugar daddy role, but that's the thing. If I'm going to be a full-fledged sugar daddy, let me tell you a few things. You better look a certain way, and you better keep that shit up. And the minute it's not, you're gonna be gone. because I got to get something out of this, Sarah. I have to be I got to get something.
If you're
And
working
really,
that hard, honey.
I have no ego. I date like losers. So I like someone who is somewhat established in the world. So older and rich is fine.
I love that. I'm so with you. Anyway, Tom and Erica, the demise. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe he was in bed. I don't know. You know, TV is so deceiving. I thought he was such a class act, like a Carol Rat as well. I was so mind blown. My own theory is I don't think she really knew that he was embezzling, but I think she didn't question anything either. Like, I don't think she thought, is it strange that as a company that goes and gets like settlements from, whatever, airlines or whatever, and they're putting their money up for years at a time. Is it strange that 25 million would be dropped into my bank account? I don't think she questioned it. I'm sure she probably thought it was strange, but I don't think she questioned the money. So I don't know how guilty you are with that. And then my number one favorite moment is Kathy Hilton. Kathy Hilton is like the dream. I mean, I wish every franchise had Kathy is who I strive to be. So wealthy, you're just oblivious to the world. You're oblivious.
Do you know that Kathy isn't even coming? I mean, she's not filming. So I don't know how far. I mean, people are like this and that. I'm like, why are we still talking about it? I mean, aren't we really into the season? I mean, this has been going on for a minute. I mean, unless they're going to slow down, because they started so early. But I mean, how many episodes do we have already? I mean, they started filming 2 months ago. Like, what's the point of joining now, Kathy? I mean, she says it's because of Paris and she's been busy with the wedding, but then there's the other rumors that she wants $2 million. Listen, I don't think Kathy is dumb.
I know. Kathy's so good. She's so good.
She did it because she was bored. That's why she said yes. The only reason she said yes is because she couldn't be in like Italy because of COVID. Really. She's like, I normally am in Europe all summer and I have nothing to do and I'm bored. And there's my sister. I'll spend extra time with her. I mean, imagine being such a baller that like Housewives has to beg you. And like, you're just like, I'm saying yes, not for any reason other than the fact that I'm trapped in my house and this is all down the street and I might as well do it because I can hang out with my sister.
And that's the thing, like to me, I want to watch that type of wealth because you know what I mean? That is like the 1%. Sonia and Luann to me, like Sonia's townhouse that, we probably could have bought 10 years ago is like, I just don't care. You know what I mean? But Kathy is like a level of like when you don't even know how to drive, or the name of your staff, like that's what I want to watch. Like that is wealth.
Sonia doesn't have a pot to piss in.
It's so obvious. And I'm not, there's nothing against that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but I'm just saying for a show that is like aspiring to be these wealthy housewives, so many of them aren't. Well, it's just like, I don't know. To me, that's part of it, right? Kathy, that is part of it. You get to escape and watch Kathy Hilton caviar pie, like what we all want, That's to me what I want. But
anyway. Like to your point, I mean, I think a lot of people want that. And that's the whole point of Heather Dubrow. I mean,
yeah.
You're watching this show and it's like, you're not I mean, listen, I think some people are like, oh, the arrogance and whatever, but I think most people agree with you that it's like, this is so people are not like, shut up, stop with your tour. No, they're like, we're just like Gina.
I loved it all.
We want to see the towel, loved it all.
I wanted to put my hands in the towel drawer, the podcast studio. I was obsessed. I didn't even know she had a podcast. The infinity pool. I mean, I loved it. I mean, poor Shannon Bedore's face, I mean, she had it and then it was all like, that's the
poor
worst.
Shannon. And Gina's like the breakout star. Gina is like so funny. Like, she's just like, Gina is the average. Gina's a viewer. Gina's on the show, but she's the viewer.
She's the viewer.
Like, this is just, she's like, of course you have a towel warm and draw. Like, this is
amazing.
I mean, yes. So I mean, I do think, look, it's hard in New York to find, because like a lot of finance money, they're not going to be on a show. The husbands can't, but I do believe that New York is not, I definitely believe New York will not start filming, come back, move ahead until they find the right cast. I mean, they held out with Atlanta. I think that if it takes a month, it takes a month. If it takes a year and a half, I don't think New York is coming back until they really have. And by what I'm trying to say also is, I think they're going to go for real money. I think they get it.
You're telling me Madonna? Like, would Madonna do it? I mean,
No. Let me answer for
Okay.
you. No.
What about David Bowie's widow, Iman? I always think about her. Like, she could be the class act. David Bowie has passed away.
She would be phenomenal.
She
Does she
would
live in
be.
New York?
Yes, she's a New York staple. She'd be so amazing.
She would be okay. Well, done. That's excellent. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
How do we get? I mean, I feel like she would be amazing. And she's, she's I don't know if she's Ethiopian and black. She's a woman of color. I'm like, there's a class act. There's somebody we want to see.
Done.
She is, music royalty. I mean. You're telling me someone's like a girlfriend or something from Howard Stern's show couldn't be on? Like, get fucking a connection to Howard. Like, they would do it. Get Howard and Beth. Like, I mean, get somebody.
I mean, Beth, I don't think Beth would do it, but Beth would be phenomenal.
Beth, let her put an animal.
Amon might do it.
How have they not called her? I mean, these are Hollywood. They're not at the tip of their fame anymore. David is gone. There's no reputation for David Bowie to keep up. He's already solidified it. She'd be phenomenal. Nope. They have a daughter.
And she seems like the type, she's class act, but I think she'll have a few drinks and she could throw it down too. I think she'll be great.
She would be my first phone call. I don't understand how they're having, and there has to be a Bethany, an aspirational business Bethany in that city that's like hustling and trying to make it.
That too. And I also think that they should. Well, first of all, I think they're definitely going to go for real money. I do. I think
they
they're going
have to. Nobody has money on that show.
Nobody. But the other thing is find sisters. I mean, not just the Hiltons. Let's not forget what has existed between Kathy and Melissa and Teresa. Like, family drama runs deep. So I say find wealthy sisters and build the show around them. And I don't mean, like Sonia is broke as a joke. She has no money. Luann and Ramona live in normal apartments that any New Yorker lives in that does well. Like, there's no money on the show, and that's okay. But I think people want to see. Look, New York money. There's benefits every night. Black tie.
Yes.
We have the whole art world here. Like, there's so many different types of money. I think people want to see that New York real filthy, like the Hamptons house that puts like Ramona's to shame, like real filthy money. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Of course. Okay. Share with me your 5 favorite moments.
I mean, and I don't think they would cast in the 60s, but like ask Christy Brinkley.
Oh my God. How great. Fabulous. Divorce drama, ex-husband drama, also music royalty. She'd be great. Yes. Matt Lauer's divorced wife. Get her on.
Really?
She'd be so good. Anyway.
She would be good. Okay, so we have a bunch of the same top 5 moments for the year. My number 5, believe it or... Okay, sorry, I was reading my notes wrong. My number 5 is specifically Hotbox and Sing Sing. That fight between Karen Huger and Miss Giselle Bryant, I'm like, Karen Huger is literally, I never realized how funny she was.
Yeah, she is.
Karen
She's so good.
is like, I need to fight back with this bitch, and I don't know what to say now. I'm going to say anything comes out of my mouth. That was literally Hotbox and Sing Sing. Miss the Grand Dame brought it.
And Giselle, I love that franchise. I think they do really well. I enjoy the fights. I think they do a great job at keeping the drama. I love it. What's your number 4?
Number 4 is it fell for me when I really reflected upon it. Jen Shah. Like, I love Salt Lake. I love it. But overall, the whole Jen Shah thing, I don't think people care as much as they do. Like, I mean, that special wasn't that good. Yeah. I think that it's like, we've known Erica for, people love a mob mentality. And it's like, we didn't really know Jen Shah that long. And like Jen Shah, there is something inherently unlikable about her, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you really think about it, Erica was beloved.
Oh my God,
People
do you remember
loved Erica Jane?
Brilliant casting. I mean, when she came in, she was with prim and proper Lisa Vanderpump, the Hilton sisters. Lisa Rinna was a little bit spicy, but then you also had, oh my God, who's Gigi and Bella Hadid's?
Yolanda.
Yolanda was classy with David Foster. You bring in Erica, Erica, who's patting her puss, who has this persona of Erica Jane, married to this who we thought was this prominent attorney. She was beloved. I mean, there's three people I've always wanted to be on these shows: Bethany, Carol, Erica. I mean,
those are three good ones.
Those are who I think people aspire to be. It's so shocking.
Those are three good ones. So that's the thing. I don't think we could, Jen, it wasn't like Erica's a fall from grace. So it's like, Jen, it's shocking that, okay, now we have it on thing and we're filming. It gets there, but it's number 4. Number 3 to me is RHUGT, Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip.
I haven't watched. Is it so good? So good.
You have no idea.
Okay.
And this isn't me. This is the whole world. People, it's a huge fan favorite. It's like, why is this? How is this going to be? Like, it's only a week. No. It's, first of all, they like break the fourth wall. It's literally, they talk about being housewives and like making appearance. It's like, so it's,
I gotta watch. Okay.
It brings in the fact that they're famous. Like, it's really done differently. And like, you don't realize, like, Kenya versus Ramona, there's a big fight. Then it's like the friendships, like Cynthia, like, Kenya and Luann, and just like, it's like, and also we're keeping it in franchise and going back to old shit. The fact that Melissa didn't tell Teresa about getting on the show.
Yeah.
Tom, the fact that Ramona spread rumors about Tom, like, old shit is coming up. There are new feuds. There are new friendships. It's not just me. People love it. It is so good. I can't explain it. It's just like seeing, you have all-stars. You have a bunch of people that are just so good at their job. So it's really pleasuresome. Like, watch it, really. Okay,
I'm on board. All right, I love that. Okay, what's your number 2?
The return of Fancy Pants Dubrow.
Heather is good. I actually enjoy her. I enjoy Heather and Terry. I do enjoy it.
And let me say that I agree with you. Like, to me, it was like Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip restored my faith in Housewives. But this revision of the OC takes it there. Like,
yeah.
Like, I wasn't sure. I agree. I wasn't sure. I was like, it was so bad. Like, to me, this is just me. I don't know why everyone hated New York so much. I get it, race, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really hate New York that much. Maybe it's because I'm from here. I hated the last season of the OC. I think it's the worst season in Housewives history for me. But it was horrible.
So funny. And I have the opposite feeling. Like, I just couldn't get into New York. I'm just burned. I think I'm burnt out with all the women, and I thought a lot of Ebony's, what she was doing was great. I just felt like there was nothing else. You know what I mean? They would go to a dinner with like a multicultural dinner, and then they just get drunk. Like, nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't there because it was COVID. There was no interesting trip. There was no like crossover of pop culture drama. Like, no one was dating anybody. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't anything else to like propel.
Well, this is why people hated it.
Yeah, it was just, there were so many things wrong with it. But it's funny. To me, I feel like they cut Tamra and Vicky like one season too soon. I think Tamra, Vicky, Heather Dubrow should have come back. Gina, Emily, maybe this new chick.
Now, so that's the thing. I really wasn't sure if the OC was going to be good, but it isn't just Heather. It's good. It's good. But really, Heather, look, there's nobody in New York that is Heather other than Bethany, and she wants $5 million.
I want Vicky back.
There's nobody. You know what, though?
Vicky is anti-vax. She would have spoken to so many people. She's anti-vax. She's right-wing. I just feel like, and getting rid of Kelly Dodd. It was hard for me to narrow down 5.
Do you know what, though?
Kelly and Rick are crazy.
Okay, let me spill some tea right here. I never reveal guests. I hate telling. I like to just have it be a surprise. But I have already recorded Kelly and Rick are coming up, and I am gonna get.
That's huge because they don't. I've been asking for them to do an interview.
No, they don't. It's hard. They don't. I'm gonna get so much hate when this episode comes out. Like, normally when the bus is off the road, I can drive it back on. Like we can stay off the road for an exit and I'm going to get you back on the road because I'm driving the bus here and you're all sitting in the back. The bus, we went off the road. The car turned over, the car went down a hill, and we never got back on the road. I got some Housewives questions in there.
But what do they rant and rave about? They just what?
Oh.
Right-wing politics? Like just like politics in general?
And listen, I really am not like everybody else in the world. I don't care. I don't judge. I don't care what your politics are.
I know.
I don't care if you sleep with 75 people a day. I don't judge. Do you. Just don't bother me. Stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't need to but yes, so there's two things they did that I was just like, this is an awkward interview because I'm not making a comment. I don't talk about politics at all. I mean, I'm not doing it. So, but they talked about why a mask isn't necessary and why.
I hope about QAnon. I mean, I hope that
so many
is
things.
JFK Jr. still alive? Like, I mean,
it was, but not only that, but then look, part of it was I was shady. I did ask some pointed questions about Miss Dubrow, but then when they were trashing her beyond belief, I was like, I need to just not make a comment because I have Heather and Terry on my show before, and I would like Miss Dubrow back, and I'm not even sure that could happen now. But I mean, I'm not going to air it because I mean, I don't. They are entitled to what they say, but I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be headlines, and Heather's going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to air that podcast.
Well, because Kelly and when did Rick get fired from Fox, and does he address that? I mean, does he talk about
Yes.
And I'm assuming he got fired because of the Housewife show, like it was just too much.
He said he wasn't fired.
Oh, he
That's
quit?
What he says.
Is that what he's going with?
That's what he's going with.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what? Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out more.
And
I'm
so,
sure.
like, look, we do talk about Housewives, and she talks about some of these new people, and like, so but it was a lot of just. It's not that I disagree with their views, or they can't have their views, or I'm trying to silence them. It's more just like this audience, like, I will not be a political podcast. And this audience doesn't want to hear this.
Oh, people want to hear it. People are going to want to hear it because
people are going to go off on me. Like, why did you have that?
Well, yeah, they're going to say that.
And
they have a platform, and people love to hate Kelly and Rick. People either love to. I think people secretly, low key support them, or they really love to hate on them, which you see from her Instagram comments. And I mean, for a long time, I thought she was a great cast member. I loved her.
I think this is the last season for Shannon. I think this is
Shannon, I think, is done too. I think that's gone by the wayside. Because again, like after they have money, they're with their guys, they try to work out these marriages, they get divorced. It's like if nothing else happens from that, like we can see them go on a couple dates, but like if you're not dating like someone famous or 2 or 3 degrees of separation of fame, it's like no one really gives a shit. It's kind of a weird thing.
And here's the other thing too. This is why I don't think Vicky and Tamara are ever coming back. Like this is just my opinion. This is why I think Heather there are moments in each franchise. Like each franchise it's like a different cast every year. But there are moments where like you're watching and you're like, this is now a new era. Like it's kind of like Beverly Hills. It's like Erica, Dorit, Rinna. Let's not forget that Erica, Dorit, Rinna, like a huge part of this is really all we think about now is new. It's like 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't mean we're not nostalgic for but it's like a new era has started, like with Erica and that stuff. And then Rinna. And now we can't even think about like life before them. I think to me, the OC feels like this is a whole new era. And like, it's just like Vicky and Tamara are so not this.
Yeah.
Like there's
true.
no place.
That's
and
true.
I do think like they had to keep Shannon. Really, I think she just kept her job for that fact that the audience needed some continuity.
Yes,
right.
Yes, they needed one thing
and
to
Emily and Gina. But now Emily and Gina don't feel so old, like new anymore. Like Gina's coming into her own. And it's like, I think this is like now a new era where Heather and Gina and Emily, they're going to go far. Like if there's going to be, and like, do you know what I mean? And we're almost not going to remember what the show was before Heather.
Okay. What is your number 1 5 most memorable moment of 2021? It's Erica and Tom.
It just,
It has
I
to
mean,
be.
I have done so many recaps with Catherine Edwards, which is everyone's favorite when I have her on. I have spent so many hours on my podcast. And, you think, David, mix it up. I mean, like you said, I had all the housewives on, Bravo guests. Get somebody. Nope. My audience does not care. If I said there's no more housewives coming on the show, there's nothing. There's no more show. It's going to be me and a microphone, and I'm just going to sit here and talk about Erica 5
People
days
would
a
love
week.
it.
That's my audience has gone insane. So Erica's also given me a lot, but I mean, I still have all the guests and everything. And like we have Summer House, we don't just have housewives, but Erica and Tom, it is really, if you think about it, when it happened, you're just like, when the divorce was announced, it was so shocking. So
they
then
were
it's like,
ride or
right.
die. By the way, Catherine Edwards used to be on the OC. So for people that want contact,
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. Thank you. Okay, she was a former castmate. She comes on your show. You two are very close. But yes, the divorce for you was so shocking because I truly do feel they were in love, don't you? I mean, I think it was just like Tom telling her. Don't you think they mutually knew they had to get divorced?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they just knew that, if they were going to try to protect her, I think it was his last way to protect. I think they're still very much in contact. Do you?
Somehow, but
Yeah.
it better be some secret text encrypted
sure it
burner
is.
phone.
Someone's
right?
burner phone. But I mean, I just think you don't fall out of love that quickly. You know what I mean? Like, and did you feel like when
It's so shocking if you really think about it. Like, just,
yeah.
I mean, it isn't now because here we are, we're living in it, but like, I mean, listen, people are starting, maybe when it comes back, it'll be different, but the Erica hate, I mean, I'm not saying it's gone, but I'm just saying, I think she's going to get a better edit. I think they probably have said to her, thank you. You carried this and did your job. And like, I'm sure Erica has said, come on, guys, really. They're not going to talk about it, but it's not going to be another season of that. It's going to be.
She is.
It's not.
There's somebody who I think will bag somebody semi-famous, or very famous. There was that rumor that she was dating Scooter Braun post. I mean, I don't think that there was any truth to that, but I'm like, if she's dating Scooter Braun, who of course manages like Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, if he suddenly cross over on the show, I mean, that's like what people want to see, like that. She, to me, I think she will do whatever it takes to stay on the show. I think she still loves Tom. I think it is very heartbreaking behind the scenes, but she knew if there was any way for her to survive, and Tom, we know, is 82 or something, she had to divorce him and they will just remain, And
I think he's okay with it. Like, save yourself. And I mean, she makes now, I don't know, 700. She made 600. We all know that. So, I mean, right. She's not going anywhere. Yeah. She's going to hold on. I do think like they'll still bring this up, but I mean, it's not going to be all about that. And I think she even said to them probably like, come on, guys, like, enough.
After
like,
this,
you gotta think of something else to do next season, or give me millions of dollars.
Well, don't worry. Dorit said, "Hold my beer." She got robbed. When PK was out of town, and then PK just got arrested for a DUI. I mean, all that's going to be filmed. So
Dorit is probably like, this sucks, but okay, let me go with it.
I mean, the emotional drama, the PTSD. Obviously, PK's melting down. I mean, there's so much there. Renna is going to have to come up with a new act. Garcelle, we'll see what, I mean, I agree with you on, I love Sutton. I think Sutton's great. I hope Sutton can bring something else. We'll see.
It's good. So it's like just Erica, and that's just, if you think it's shock. Yeah. That.
David, I adore you. I love having you on the podcast. You put out brand new episodes of Behind the Velvet Rope Monday through Friday. You also have a Patreon that people can subscribe to. You have Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal coming up.
And part 3.
And part 3,
you have to
Carol
listen to
Radiswell.
it.
All right.
I mean, and I think Kelly thought like I felt like almost calling her after and saying like, I like you. Like I'm like a normal person, because I felt that she just thought I was so weird because I had no reaction. Because I'm like, I am not making a comment about this politics or about Heather Dubrow.
Yeah.
Like
right.
there are very few people that scare me in the Housewives world. Heather Dubrow scares me. I'm like, I don't want Heather Dubrow coming after me. And that's the thing about New York is like, there is no Heather. Like, because Bethany is not getting $5 million. There's nobody that they can have, even the beginning of VOC, the way that just, I mean, yeah, of course that was staged and filmed.
Sure,
but the
sure.
way that
You
they
loved the
walked
house.
and
Yeah.
she said, I'm home and start. There's nobody in the New York franchise that will have that effect. That's to bring back. Zero. There's not one person. Think
All
about
right.
it. Like who? There's nobody.
Well, I adore you. Everyone can
I
follow
adore you.
David Yonteff, on social media behind the velvet rope. David, I love you. Thank you for being on.
Listen to the podcast Behind the Velvet Rope 5 days a week. Find all of our housewife interviews. And if you don't hear from me, it means that I've just passed out on my computer because I'm so tired and
microphone.
exhausted. But thank you for having me on, Sarah.